But hey, I'm grateful we're back. It's all good. It's all good. Things happened, and so that's just how technology works, you know. So whatever, we're gonna keep it going. So so yeah, so I have some awesome guests that I brought on, and we just gonna listen. We just gonna have fun right now, okay? And first, I'm gonna bring in Jamie Gill. Look, Jamie Gill is so cool. Like, she is so cool. She became my friend, like, really quick. We met on, where a lot of people are meeting on nowadays, Clubhouse. And so we got a chance to collaborate, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But let me bring on Jamie Gill. She's awesome, high energy. She's passionate for men and women. She's passionate about her people. And so I'm going to bring in Jamie Gill right now.
Hi, everybody. So glad.
Hey, Jamie, how are you?
I know I am excited for you. I am so glad to be here and honored, very honestly, to be able to be a part of your premiere. This is excellent. So, congratulations, my friend.
Yes, yes, yes. So, listen, I was just telling everybody how we met. We
Hmm.
met on Clubhouse,
Yes, yes.
and I've met a lot of people on Clubhouse, but I've only really stayed in touch with a few,
Hmm.
and you were one of them. And I shortly after we met, we spoke and we collaborated on a project. Tell me about that.
So,
Tell the
this
audience
is
about that.
perfect. This is a perfect setup. So, um, I don't believe in coincidences at all. The fact that the name of your show was Cultivate Your Calling is not an accident. The fact that I met you on Clubhouse, none of that was an accident at all. So I was actually invited to Clubhouse by a friend. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. I am a former radio show host. I am an author, public speaker, and I relocated to Daytona Beach, Florida, about 4 years to take care of my parents. And life has been interesting for me down here, really kind of strange. So I ended up coming to Clubhouse this particular day by an invitation from my publisher. And he invited me to this room, and it was some high energy people, some authors in there, and they were talking about how to get your book started. And Lionel was one of the people in the group. And I just love what he had to say about men, about men's mental health. And I said, really crazy idea. I don't know this man, never met him before in my life. But hey, you want to be a part of this book I'm writing? So my first book is called Lessons for the Little Girl, Lessons to Learn, to Live, and to Love. I am a self-reflection enthusiast, and I am excited about people doing self-reflection, self-healing, self-transformation. I think that people need to be willing to risk introspection so that they can be better projections out into the world. And so I'm doing the male version of that book called Lessons for the Little Boy, and I think you'll be a perfect fit. Don't know why, don't know how, just kind of feel it in my spirit. And Lionel said yes immediately, and it was a collaborative work with him and 11 other men. And the book went to the editors just yesterday, 2 days ago. And so the book will be coming out in just a few short months. And I am honored that Lionel is a part of it because his voice, his story has added so much power to the book. And he was one of the missing pieces that I knew. What most people don't know, talk about cultivating your calling. Cultivating is a word that is process. That is a processing word. And Lessons for the Little Boy was a 6-work process. And it was something that I knew needed to be out in the earth. It was something that I knew that the men needed, but I didn't know what men. And so I kept just asking the Lord to send them. And on Clubhouse, an app that didn't even exist 6 years ago, came into fruition, and met Lionel, and he's been a perfect fit to the fam.
Yes, and yeah, thank you, and thanks for like believing in me and seeing that I was one of those pieces that you were looking for, and I liked your vision so much, so I didn't want to just share my story. I wanted to put that poem that I wrote last in January in there. And what do you think about the poem? Did you like
So
it?
the poem is called "Cause I Am a Haitian," right?
Yes, because I
I'm
yeah,
a Haitian.
because I look Haitian.
I look Haitian. That's what it was.
Yes.
And here's the thing about the poem, because that's all he sent me initially. Like, hey, check this out. I was like, can I put this in the book? Like, this needs to be in the book. Number one, because I'm a right brain. I'm artistic. So I love music. I love poetry. I love everything that is artsy. And I believe that people hear and receive things in different ways. Not everyone is going to hear something just audibly as we're talking today. Sometimes it has to come in a more creative form. And so the poem, what I loved about the poem was that it was his pain used for purpose, and the way that he was able to floetically present a very painful experience that literally transformed his life and his experience at a young age, that it literally set up the trajectory of who he was becoming. And he used that pain to be the man that he is today, that we all get to see today. That was a part of the cultivating. And he didn't know it then. None of us knew it then. He didn't even know it then. But I give all praise to God that he was able to use that to not only become a really great platform of his introduction in the book, but he's really used that poem to literally be the mirror of who he wants to put out into the world. Like, just because something happens to you because of how you look, and culturally, we like to believe that all Black people get along. You Black, I'm Black, we all Black. But that shade issue still exists. If anyone saw Meghan Markle's interview with Oprah, that shade issue is still very prevalent in the world. And as people of color, we tend to have this hierarchy, and you're different than me, so you don't think you're better than me. And I just want to break all of that foolishness.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, because that's what I wrote in the poem. Like I said, I thought we were one, but I noticed the difference, and that's no fun.
Yeah.
So that's what listen, I'm excited. I don't know. I'm assuming it'll be published later this month or April, whatever.
So the editing process has already begun. We do have, I'm a part of amazing, just a quick shout out to 220 Publications.
Yes.
Been my publisher from day one, and is actually the reason that I met Lionel today, just by inviting me to Clubhouse. And so it has a process, and so it's going through its 12 authors, including my uncle who wrote the foreword. So 13 gentlemen that are in the book. And so they're going to go through, the editors are going to read the book, and they're going to find all our little typos and stuff, and they're going to fix it up and make some suggestions, and then they'll kick it back to us in a couple of weeks. And but until then, what we're planning on doing is getting all the men together in the book, and so you guys can begin to meet each other and vibe off of each other, because you'll be forever connected. Forever, you'll be forever connected, because this is more than a book. This is truly a movement, and
it's a movement. Yeah.
And I'm just honored to be a part of it.
And I've met some awesome people, and I'm glad I met you. I met some more awesome people on Clubhouse. This next person I'm going to bring in right now, she is changing the game for our people. She is. When I heard about what she was doing, I said, no, we need to get this for our people. We need to get more. We need to get find more. We need to expand. How can we help more of our people?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna let her pretty much say what she does. Why? Because it's very important. And I'm gonna bring in, her name is, they call her the scholarship doctor. Her name is yeah, you know who that is. Rhea Watson. Rhea, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey y'all, how you doing?
That same group on that same day.
That's right. Oh my gosh, how incredible, how inspirational. God bless y'all. How you doing?
How are you? You look great.
Blessed, amazing, blessed, excited. So happy to be here. Lionel, congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Cool.
So you guys, this is just a preview of how much energy was in that room that day. So you met me and Rhea. So that room was like hype, super hype that day.
So hype.
Yeah.
So you want to introduce myself? You have questions? How can I help, Lionel? This is your time, but I'm just so
Rhea, just like with Jamie and the others that that's gonna come on soon. You are the people that I want to connect with, our community to really help us bridge this gap, this wealth gap.
Yes.
Um, you know, I saw an image one day with it was a race. It was a black guy and it was a white guy, and the white guy was a few steps ahead of the black guy with barely any hurdles in front of him. But the black guy had a shackle on his right leg, and he had so many hurdles. He had
Yeah.
so many obstacles in front of him, and I'm not limited to my people. I'm black, white, whoever you are. If you need my help, I'll help. But my calling is my people. You get what I'm saying? Like that's who my avatar. That's what my avatar looks like. If you draw my avatar, you're gonna draw this brother right here. And somebody who looks like the ladies in my house. So so yeah, so that's who I believe I'm called to. And that picture said 1,000 words. They didn't have to have one word on that photo. I got it. I got it. And so you are the type of people that this show is built for, to use as a resource for the recipients in our community. So you help uh, you call them scholars,
You call
right?
them scholars. Everyone's a scholar. That's
Everyone's
right.
a scholar. You help scholars. I might say it wrong, but you help them basically go into college debt free.
No, you're not saying it wrong. That's exactly what
Because
we
I'm
do.
still trying to scratch my head around this thing. How do you do that?
We help scholars of
Where
all
were you when I went to college?
She can still help you. She can still
That's
help
the
you.
most popular question that I get. It might be the first most popular question, but yeah. No, you're absolutely right. We help scholars of all ages, 0 to 99, from the womb to the tomb, from birth to death, to have a debt-free college experience. So it doesn't matter how young or young at heart you are, doesn't matter your social economic status, what educational level you are, where you're located in the entire world. If you're interested in having a debt-free college experience, I'm your girl.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just wow. Y'all see that? Like, we need to do something. We need to get you some, like, you know how the president get like security detail? You get what us? No, listen, that's gold, that's platinum, that's like unheard of. So everyone have their unique thing that we do. A lot of, like, for example, pastors get criticized for certain things. Uh, there's pastors out there that help prevent people from committing suicide.
Mhm.
You can't put a price tag on that salary for that pastor.
Not
You
absolutely.
can't.
Yeah.
You can't. But they're the ones committing suicide themselves because
Mhm.
they are trying to help the people. But our people, we are not, and in my opinion, because I was there too, we are not self-aware as a
Right.
culture. We're not aware, and we don't, like Jesus said when he was dying on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they
Or
know
they
not what they do.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so for our people, look, I encourage you, if you guys are resources out there, I encourage you to not give up on your people. Do not give up on them.
Lionel, let me give you a hand clap real quick. I don't want. I think that Rhea spoke to when she said, "How can I help you?" When she came in and said that, I think that is key. I don't think that you fully recognize the power of the platform that you just created here and cultivate your calling. The reality is that being self-aware is very key. That's why I'm a self-reflection enthusiast, but it's the connection that is key. We cannot be afraid to connect to each other. And here is the biggest thing as an African American that I can say: we cannot be afraid to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
You weren't born with all the answers, because if that was the case, then God would have created nobody else.
Right.
Parts, one body. And so Queen Rhea is a huge part to the body, because a lot of times we have been entrenched in our brains that we have to take a loan out to go to college.
Yes,
That is the
ma'am.
only way to go to the School of Art. If we don't get a scholarship for athletics, come on, let's be honest. If we don't get an athletic scholarship, then we have to take out a loan. And I think it is that cultivating our calling, is that cultivating our mind to think differently. And that's what's so powerful about this platform that you've created. And by having our sister Ria here on the very premier show of that, it's helping people see things differently. And that is powerful. That is so powerful.
Wow, we are changing the way that we introduce the marketplace to the people, because I believe this is how church was originally supposed to be designed, for us to go out into the marketplace. You know, I call, like, a lot of people that I meet, like Jamie, I call her a marketplace apostle. You know, she has how many? It's 13. It's 14 of us on the one book. You wrote in it too. Did you write a chapter, or you just wrote
a 13 men and then me?
You get what I'm saying? And in that one book, there's 14 resources at minimum in the one book.
That's right.
And I'm excited. I'm ready to read that book. I want to read it. I want to,
y'all, it's so good. And I'm not saying, but when I tell you, you have, let me just give you a preview. You have 13 men, right? You have 6 former authors. So they have previous books, one with Lionel being included. So these are people who are used to sharing their voice, their experiences, being vulnerable, which is huge for men. You have multicultural men. So you have Haitian, you have Caucasian, you have African American, you have former NFL player in the book, you have a bishop in the book, you have a minister of a startup church in the book. You have fathers, you have single men, you have men who have lost children. When I tell you, that's a man who took care of his mother until her last breath. You have a publisher in the book. I mean, this book is so, I couldn't, like, literally, God had to tell me to send the book off, because I was like holding it, because it was so precious to me, because I recognized the value. But I had to get it out because I need the world to get it. So it is, you are right. It is a wealth of information that's going to be available for everybody.
Wow, those are, I'm gonna I'm gonna order several copies, because I want to be able to disperse them, get them out there to men that need them. I've been being reached out to other Black men who say, "Man, Lionel, help me," and sometimes I'm like, I ain't qualified to help you, bro. You know what I mean? But then the Lord been showing me, Lionel, what you've been through qualifies you.
Period. Period.
For many years, I was brain fogged from being. I recently found out from being vitamin D deficient, for having very low testosterone, and having very low testosterone made me angry, bitter, and like very edgy and like ready to pop off. And I didn't know that. I'm just thinking like, I'm just trying to live, just in survival mode. I was like, I had the survival switch on, and I want the ladies out there, our sisters out there, to have compassion towards our men, because a lot of them are deficient and don't even know it. A lot of them are most African Americans are vitamin D deficient anyway. And if you are, that's what studies show. And if you are quarantining, you stay in the house all day and you don't go outside, you're not getting the sunlight you need.
Right.
So that's why a lot of us are getting sick and more sick, because we're not getting what we need. And so for our men, like for the ladies concerning our men, please get them checks. Encourage him to get himself checked, see where he's deficient. If he has emotional issues, And it doesn't look like, because I thought emotional was just crying. That's all I thought it was. Coming up, I was a very uneducated guy in a lot of ways. So being angry and just edgy and just silent and not wanting to speak, going through depression, those are signs that of some type of deficiency, and he needs to get checked for his testosterone check, his vitamin D, and other levels checked, so he can be a more sound person, because his brain is trying to protect him. Is working perfectly. It just needs some help. So what would you say? For a man or anyone who's struggling with emotional intelligence?
Rhea, I would love for you to answer that first, because I think, especially with helping people from the wide gamut that you do help going back to get an education, I would love to hear your perspective on that first.
Yeah, one of my clients, we have this wonderful clubhouse connection, right? I'm calling everyone like clubhouse cousins. She is skilled, right? And actually just created a board game on emotional intelligence. And so it's been amazing. Every Sunday she has a room where she's discussing in Clubhouse, where she's discussing emotional intelligence. And even last week before last, because it was yesterday, and it's right when I have a 12 o'clock service. I'm on the West Coast and in Las Vegas, and so I have a 12 p.m. service, and that's when I attend. So I haven't been able to go to all of her spaces. But a week ago, I brought up this question about empathy and sympathy, and what the differences were with that, and how can we be better at both sympathizing and empathizing with people. And she said, I'm going to also add about apathy as well as compassion. And I think that there are too many times that, especially when we're trying to make sure that we're walking in someone's shoes, that we can take over their narrative, right? And I think this is International Women's Day. How apropos again and
Right.
selfless of you, Mr. Lionel, to launch on today, and then to have someone like me on, and with the incredible work that you're doing. But yeah, I think too many times, and maybe I should just speak for myself, but as a woman, I can try to take over the story for men, and say I can sympathize with you, right? I can empathize with you. And maybe they just need a listening ear, and others as well. Maybe they don't need to necessarily have an answer. And I think sometimes, just very innate and organically, women feel like we have to kind of come to the rescue and fix it and nurture it, and men as well, right? In a different pathway. But I have to be very watchful and mindful of that. And I think that there's been a lot of trauma when it comes to especially men of African descent, right? I mean, more than we can probably ever realize or know. And again, how do we address that? How do we make it right? That's not necessarily our part or our piece, but I do think these things are important when it comes to emotional intelligence, and especially, again, with African American males in your life, brothers, husbands, sons, etc. I'm a Christian, so I believe in prayer. And when we think about our nationality, right, and what we have gone through, and even women, again, celebrating today, just left African Heritage Month, African American Heritage Month, Black History Month. It is not fixable. we can't do it. We can't do it on our own. We can't do it alone. We have to go to the Creator. And I am like all about that, and making sure that we look to the Word, that we look to prayer, that we cultivate those relationships, not just with each other, but with God, and to do that in a familiar way, even if it's clubhouse cousins. And with that, I think there can be healing, stability, inspiration, again, compassion, removing the apathy, making sure that we're empathetic and sympathetic towards our brothers and sisters, no matter how he or she may be. And in that regard, prayerfully there is healing that's happening that, again, it's not in our own power. So I hope that
Mm.
wasn't too long and too much, but that's my
I
thought
think
about
that's
it.
perfect. And I was sitting here thinking about that's literally the setup for Lessons for the Little Boy. That was a part of my struggle as a woman presenting this book for men. Like, who are you to tell? And I'm so careful because I've never been that woman that I thought that I had the answer for how a man needed to be a man. I have no clue. Don't know that part. I know that the men that have been in my life, from family to dating, I knew what I needed from them in order for our relationships to be better. But I could never have this blanket answer for how a man could be a man. And so what, as I began to pray, thank you, Sister Ria, about the book, my parts became less. I began to take pieces of me, more and more of my story came out. And I was so grateful that, so literally what I do, and maybe I'm telling too much about the book before it's out, is I open the book and then I close it. That's it. I invite them into the table and then I thank them for coming. Because ultimately, and I share a story at the beginning that I had with my father, but I think that part of the cultivating and a part of the answer that God has given, very honestly, and this is just my opinion, is not only having conversations with women. And this is why I immediately was like, Lionel's my brother, he's my needed piece, is that men have to be comfortable with having conversations with men about what they're going through, about their vulnerability, about saying, I don't know, which is a hard thing. I don't know why we as people of color have a difficult time saying, I don't know. And I mean, psychologically, I think I know because we were always taught that we had to be better, stronger, faster first, in order to get that opportunity, after slavery and, throughout history. And so we can never have this sense of not knowing. So we have to act like we always got it together, even when we're falling apart on the inside. But I literally wanted this book. And I think what you said is learning how to just sit back and just be a presence in their life. There's a ministry of just presence, just being there. I don't have to understand. And that's what I'm learning too, because that used to be my filler when people have, oh, I understand. Yeah, I understand. No, I don't. I don't understand. I don't.
And you don't have to, like you said. Yeah.
And that's okay, And so I think that, and again, this is why I salute my brother Lionel so much, is that being able to create platforms and opportunities for men to have the conversation with men and then here you go, ready? There's a big word, holding each other accountable to who we're supposed to be, who God has created us to be, and who you said you wanted to be. Like, at the end of the day, you said you wanted this for your life. So if that's what you wanted, then I'm going to hold you accountable to that. So,
amen.
Yeah, that is awesome. Like, yes, 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 yes,
you look like
yes.
a kid in a candy store. Don't you see when somebody gets something good? Look, I love it.
Yeah, let me tell you, I come a long way. I really have. I've come a long way for me to be where I am today. Sometimes I pinch myself because I've been on this journey that I thought would never have sunlight, and 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 what I was looking for. Everything that you see I do today is because it's what I wanted. It's what I was looking for. It's what I needed. It's what I was begging God for. It's what I was praying for because there was no one that I could find that could be more solution oriented. Instead, they focused on more of the issues and not the solutions. And so for me, you would see me maybe bring up an issue, but I will always get to the root and to get to the solution of the thing because healing and restoration, if if a person can get that in their life, they become more powerful than they already are. Mind you, I started two companies from the bottom, from the entry level position. One salary was about 12,000 a year as an adult now. and the other salary was about $14,000 a year to start.
Wow.
I was brain fogged. I did not know what emotional intelligence was. I heard about IQ. I didn't know any of that. I didn't know how to be a father. I didn't know how to be a husband. I was struggling with brain fog. I didn't know because I had all these head injuries from playing football. I was knocked unconscious. I got into a fight in high school. I was stomped on the head. I went to sleep for about 7 hours. I almost died.
Wow.
And I still, from both of those two companies, I started from the entry level position. Both of those companies, while being brain fog, while suffering from depression, I made it to the store manager position.
Wow.
Both companies.
Wow.
And so you can't tell me, like, if you're going through something, you can't come out of it. Because if I can go from one entry level position to a store manager position in positions that require you to have a bachelor's degree, mind you, I still have debt from dropping out of trade school. I didn't get debt from online college because I didn't even finish the semester. I went in there for like 2 weeks, and I got promoted 2 weeks after I got promoted, and I was like, oh shoot, I can't do all this. I have children, I have a wife. Like, I was the only one working, and I was like, no. So I dropped out of college. So, and then I got kicked out of high school, not one time, but two times. I got kicked out of regular high school, and then I got kicked out of alternative high school because at alternative high school, I had to go get a job because Sierra was pregnant with our first child.
Mm.
And so we were in high school. She went to alternative high school. I went to alternative high school, and they both were right next to each other. So we would meet in between classes at the gate. Hi, how you doing? She went to a pregnancy high school, and I went to one for, troubled kids, troubled
Mm.
students. And so I had to work. So when I went to work, they withdrew me. They was like, hey, you're not coming. So I went and got a correspondence diploma. I made those two jobs that I needed a bachelor's degree for. I went in entry level, and I got hired on the job with a correspondence diploma
Wow.
and made to store manager position. Then when I turned 30, I started going to school to get my GED. And they kept telling me, you're not ready for the test. You're not ready to take the test. And Sierra took the test and she passed. And I'm like, okay, I'm inspired. So I signed up to take the test. I went the first day. The next day, I'm driving. Somebody hits me from behind.
Oh no.
And I get out the car and I say, hey, y'all okay? The lady rubbing her neck. And the guy like, he okay? I said, I'm okay. I said, you hit me. You can go. We can make a police report. But I said, I got something to do. And if I don't take this test, I ain't never going to take it. The man said, okay, you can go. So I'm taking the test like this, the GED test, like this, rubbing my hand, rubbing my neck, and I passed the GED test the first time.
Yes. Yes.
Listen, where it is back there somewhere. But listen, I mean, whatever you can put your mind to, brain fog and all. Ooh, that's a good book.
Brain fog and all, right. That's
Brain
right.
fog and all.
That's right.
That's amazing. I worked in education, folks who helped scholars to earn their GED, right? Their adult education diploma or the equivalency. And I come from a family that is very different, I think, than my educational path. Maybe not. My daddy, though, the wisest, most incredible man I've ever been able to know, did not finish high school, was actually functionally illiterate. And when I was blessed to work in adult education, I actually was starting a class at the tip of the downturn. And the whole thought was there were people who were losing their jobs, their homes, and everything else. And again, I'm in Las Vegas, and we were hit the hardest. I mean, it was international news where complete neighborhoods were just abandoned with folks who could not pay their mortgage. So, I mean, literally, there were no houses in multiple neighborhoods across my community. where no one lived. And it was just the most tragic, 21st century ghost town that you can ever imagine. And so when I got this opportunity to go into adult ed, the thing they said is we think this is a chance to finally kind of break the stigma and the stereotypes among African American men in regard to high school diploma, GED, et cetera. And so we took a very non-traditional route and did kind of barbershops and barbecue and went and found gentlemen who were wonderful fathers, husbands, ministers, maybe many of them employed with multiple jobs and just great community members. But the little secret that they did not know, A, how to read and or write, B, do mathematics, and C, had not earned a high school diploma or its equivalency. And without tears, I'm hoping I can do that. I knew that my daddy was one of those people. He was incredible, had retired, was handsome and debonair and wise and kind and my biggest inspiration. And I went to Daddy and I said, Daddy, I got this chance, this new job with these fancy degrees that you made sure that I earned. And I get a chance to start a class for people who are just like you. And I wanted to know, what do you think? And should I go for it or should I do it? Because these were all my uncles, right? Like the community uncles or my actual biological uncles. And it's like, what do you think, Daddy? And we're going to go to barbershops and we're going to talk to people. We're going to go to church services and we're going to talk to people. We're going to go to barbecue joints and we're going to talk to people and do this approach very differently than go on the internet and sign up for a class and you can't read and write. So, now we have this digital divide as well, let alone people having those type of devices in their homes. So anyway, that's kind of the approach some too many times with adult education. But I went to my dad and talked to him about it. And he said, Ree, my nickname, he said, Ree, I'll be your first student. And my daddy signed up for my class. He was incredible. He learned how to write to spell a word that he could never, ever barely say, the word beautiful. And to see my daddy graduate with balloons and his certificate that he went through all of these lessons under his baby girl is probably my greatest joy and my most accomplished out of all my degrees, everything I've done, every award that's hanging in my office is being able to hand that to my daddy and give him a hug and say congratulations. So I have a very, very special place in my heart for adult learners. And what you did is a huge feat. Any classes that I had like that, we would have students who would come back year after year, class after class, just doing everything that they could to accomplish that. So I honor you, sir, yet again, and you and your wife, which would be highly commended.
Wow.
God bless you.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And
I didn't come on here to cry, y'all. I did.
I see you. I see you. And I know you got to go, Jamie, but any last remarks you want to leave, just share it with us.
I've got the
I am like so mad at y'all right now. I didn't come here to feel. No. Oh God. So, and I'm tearing because I just lost my dad a couple years ago, and my daddy was my buddy, and so hearing your story. I'll leave with this. You both said a word and your completely separate stories that connected. Look, my fingers can't even connected. Inspired. You said your wife took her GED test, passed on the first time, and you were inspired.
Awesome.
You said that when you talked to your father and how he took the class, how you were inspired. You inspired him, and he inspired. This word inspire kept coming up out of both of yours, and it could be just because it's a part of the story or because it's a word we're familiar with. I think that word is often diluted in our minds, though, because ultimately these other people were inspired because you were ultimately obedient to your individual callings.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that I can say last to your audience, is to be able to be obedient to that thing that is burning inside of you, because you have no idea whose life is attached to your obedience. It could be your family, it could be friends, it could be somebody you may never, ever, ever, ever meet. But because you were obedient to cultivating the calling that is within you, you literally can create the program, the platform, the book, the resource that God will use to help to save someone's life. And so I just salute both of you, my clubhouse cousins.
Yes.
Lionel, thank you so much for this, my brother. Thank you for even thinking about me to even be a part of the premiere. I am deeply honored. I tell people all the time, people don't have to think about you. And so when God puts them on your mind, you need to truly be humbled. And I am. And so I thank you, Sister Rhea. It's good to see your beautiful face with your magnetic energy. Lets me know I'm not the only bright light in the room all the time. And so, Lionel, I wish your show much success. Yes. Sister Rhea, keep doing what you're doing because we need you, girl. We need you.
Thank you.
God bless you. I hope to see you both again very soon. Okay?
Yes, I will have you back on, and I want to know how I can get Glenn on the show as well. So,
I'll send a simple text as soon as I log off. It's that easy.
Okay. All right. So I won't hold you any longer then.
All right. Off to work. Got to get to the hospital. All right. See you guys later. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Tell Mama we said hi.
Yes.
Amazing. Wow. Amazing. I feel so extra special. Like, wow, you're incredible.
Yeah. So same for you, Rhea. Anybody who's struggling in life, who's just looking for hope, give them a last set of few words before we log off. What would you say for somebody who's struggling and who's just need hope? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can with confidence say I'm a hope dealer. I do think that you are a hope dealer, and I think you mentioned, and you did so eloquently mention those who labor among us, I believe is what it says in the word, right? So our pastors and our ministers who are so dedicated to the faith and so dedicated to people, but so I think they're hope dealers. But if I can steal that for a moment, is that you are a walking example of that it is never, ever, ever too late, right? So whatever that dream is, that aspiration, that vision, that confidence, that Godfidence, that you're saying, this is my calling. I feel that I should do it. I want to do it. We have some events that are going on right now, and one of them is literally something that I've pondered in my heart. I'm kind of, again, stealing that from Mary, how she did those things as she watched her son, and who was the Son of God, but also her son physically, right? Jesus. And there was just things that she was like, she just held that so close to her. And one of my dreams cultivated just very recently, and I held that so close to me for so many years. And actually about 20 years that I had this vision that's come to full fruition and has been an amazing success. And I would just say, if that is you, my friend, it is never, ever, ever too late. And if you have a dream, if you have a desire, if you have a hope, if you have a prayer, if you have an interest, don't let it go. Go for it. What do you have to lose? But I think it is what Miss Jamie may have said. There might be people who are losing out. And so whenever you think that there's some limit in your limit, right? That you're limited in your limit, I just encourage you just to break through, go beyond that barrier, right? Go beyond whatever that traffic light is and continue on, because there is someone who needs you. And it never hurts to try. What if it, quote, fails? I don't ever even think that's possible, because either way, somebody's going to learn something if that someone is just you. So I think if I had to leave you with anything, it's to go for whatever your dreams are, whatever your thoughts are, whatever your considerations are, whatever your commitments are. And I promise you, when that happens, it will create a Lionel story, right? It may create a scholarship doctor story. It may create a whoever you are story. So that's what I would leave you with.
Awesome. Yes, thank you very much. Well, listen, I just want to have you back at another time so we can
Absolutely.
share a little bit more about what you do for our communities, what you do for people, and how you help save them years of debt, years of frustration. Because one of the, I don't know, I think it's the cause of divorce. Number one cause of divorce is money,
Yeah,
and
it is.
so you tap into that, and you help people, and I'm going to throw married couples in there. You help them avoid divorce. So
Mhm.
that's something that is tied to your calling. If you have never seen it like that,
Yeah,
that's one thing they can say that they cannot use as a reason to separate, and it's because of money. So that is great what you're doing. I thank you for coming on, and we will be talking soon.
I look forward to it. You know, I had all my scholarships lined up, so you just let me know. I'm ready to share. And I will also say this: you can go to college for free. It is not a fallacy. It's absolutely possible. There's $50 billion in scholarships that's available every
Wow.
single year. 50 billion. The average state college costs $32,000. So believe you me, it is ultimately possible for you and yours to have a debt-free college experience. So when we get a chance to talk about it, I'd love to.
Definitely, definitely, we will talk about that, and I'll have you on the show. I put the captions in there. You can go to college for free. Yes, yes, and we'll have you on, and I'll make sure we have something for the people when they come on, to when you come on to the show, and then they view. So thank you for coming on. We will be chatting soon.
Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for letting me be a part of the inauguration. It means a lot. Bless you and
Thank
your
you.
family.
Good night. So listen, guys, this was just everything. I just want to just if you are struggling with whatever it is, I wrote this book, Cultivate Your Calling. And I wrote Cultivate Your Calling because of what happened on March 29th of 2020, where my daughter's boyfriend was murdered. And I realized that if black men don't do three things, black women, men, and children are in trouble. So black men must restore within themselves emotionally, spiritually, and physically. They must restore their relationships or improve their relationships with their families and in their community. And black men must discover their purpose, walk in their purpose, thrive in their purpose, and in whatever area of their lives. At least those three things. If black men can get that right, our communities will be safer places to live, work, and play. And I just want to leave this scripture with you, that to be anxious for nothing, but in prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And another scripture, it says that God has not given you the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Thank you, and good night.